From beautiful volcanic islands to rocks with only a single house. Stay tuned to number 1 to find out which is the lowest populated island in the world. Number 10. Tristan da Cunha. We start off our list with one of the most well-known islands of this type, Tristan da Cunha. Actually, this is a group of volcanic islands in the south of the Atlantic, the farthest inhabited archipelago on the planet. But it's always been perceived as a whole, so it kind of cheated its way onto the list. The March 2016 census showed that there were 293 people living on Tristan da Cunha, and it is believed that the current population of this place came from 15 original settlers, 8 men and 7 women, who came to the archipelago during the 19th century. These men were European, but the women were actually coming from mixed racial backgrounds. However, not all people on Tristan da Cunha have mixed ancestry. In 1961, the archipelago was evacuated due to a volcanic eruption, but the people returned 2 years later, and it was then that some new settlers arrived on Tristan da Cunha. Out of all the places in the world, they chose to come back here. I guess no place feels like home. Before we get moving on, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more videos by Zero to Hero. Number 9. Maratti. This is one of the best kept secrets of Greece. Everybody's heard about the big, well-known islands of Greece, but when you say Maratti, it doesn't ring a bell. Maratti is a beautiful, small island with a really small population. Only 5 people live there. It's one of the candidates for Greece's least populated islands, if not the least populated one. But this is kind of hard to tell. The island is so unknown that until recently it was very hard to find a photo of it. Now, of course, the situation is different, but Maratti remains a gem in the crown of the Greek islands. According to the information that can be obtained, the only people living on the island of Maratti, other than a few tourists every now and then, are the Emilianos family, who came here all the way back in 1977. Even now, there is almost nothing on the island. But back then, there really wasn't anything. No electricity, no water supply, or anything. The Emilianos family took care of everything, and it wasn't easy. But they put a lot of hard work, and they made it. After a while, occasional guests started coming by. During the summer months, tourists can stay in a hotel and dine in a tavern, but it's never crowded. That is why Maratti is the best-known hidden resort for all true lovers of unexplored or semi-explored travel destinations in Greece. Number 8. Bajsevo. Before we say anything about the island of Bajsevo, one thing has to be clear. It's actually a Croatian island, and it's very hard to differentiate the islands of Croatia because many of them are so similar. The Croatian coast is a long one, and there are hundreds of islands and islets. It's really hard to choose just one as the smallest and least inhabited, especially because the population figures are unreliable. But our pick goes to the island of Bajsevo. Bajsevo is located in the Adriatic Sea and is close to the island of Vis. It's famous for its Blue Grotto, a sea cave located in the Balin Bay, which is one of the most beautiful natural wonders of the Adriatic coast. Bajsevo also has wonderful sandy beaches. According to the 2001 census, the island of Bajsevo only has 19 permanent residents, 8 of which are 65 and older. It's really a beautiful island, and quite possibly one of the least inhabited in the world. Number 7. Mynga Island. This island, located in Lake Victoria, is special for several reasons. First of all, it is extremely densely populated, which is pretty rare for an island of its size. Secondly, it has been the subject of a long-lasting territorial dispute between Uganda and Kenya. What happened in 2008 was that both countries actually decided to claim this island as their territory. According to the 2009 census, Mynga has a population of 131. The majority of the people on the island are living as fishermen and fish traders. Supposedly, the island laid abandoned before 1991. That same year, 2 fishermen from Kenya came here and started the first settlement. They say that the whole island was full of weeds and snakes when they first arrived, but it all started changing after that. Later on, more and more people came to the island, mostly as fishermen, and a small community began forming. Number 6. Pitcairn. Pitcairn is the only inhabited island in the Pitcairn Islands, which is a name for a group of islands in the Pacific Ocean. The inhabitants of Pitcairn actually descend from the 9 mutineers on the famous ship Bounty, and a group of Tahitians who came along with them. Today, there are still only around 50 people on the island. It has been said that in the past, this group of islands was actually inhabited by Polynesians who lived here by trading goods through long canoe voyages. But over the years, these islands became vacated. When the islands were discovered, or better yet, rediscovered, by the European explorers, they were uninhabited. But today, Pitcairn fights on against population desertion with its few inhabitants, willing to stay there no matter what. Number 5. Fala. Don't let the name deceive you. The island's name just sounds like foul, but it's actually quite the opposite. Fala is a beautiful island located in the Shetland archipelago of Scotland, and it's home to some of the most beautiful landscapes in all of the Scottish Islands. So, about that name. Fala is actually an Old Norse derivative for Bird Island, and as the name says, it is home to many species of birds. As for the population, there's only 38 people living in 2 settlements. In the past, the people of Fala worked as fishermen, but nowadays, they're mostly farmers, with some of them working in tourism, helping birdwatchers. There is a ferry service to the island, but it'll take you 2 hours to reach Fala. So it's great and all, no doubt about it. It just makes grocery shopping a bit difficult. Number 4. Saguaro. Imagine having an island all to yourself. A wonderful idea, right? Well, in the case of Saguaro, this is more than a great idea. It's reality. The island of Saguaro, part of the Cook Islands in the Pacific Ocean, has a population of 2. Yep, that's it. Just 2 people live here, and their job is to be the caretakers or rangers, doing it as a full-time job. The position of the Saguaro Island Nature Reserve caretaker is advertised every 5 years, and the island is open from April to October. In the beginning, the 2 caretakers would bring their families with them, but this has been changed in the recent years. The 2 caretakers are brought to the island via boat, along with all the supplies they'll need for a 6-month time. It's definitely not easy getting the job because you must prove skillful and resourceful, but once you get there, you have the island all to yourself. Number 3. Kiara. This is an island located in the Scottish Inner Hebrides with only 2 small communities and a population of around 40 people, depending on which census you refer to. If you want to reach it, there are 2 ferry services to take you there from the town of Oban. It's pretty small, with its 4.3 miles in length and 1.2 miles in width. So if you have spare time, you can easily walk around and enjoy its beautiful scenery. There is an old tower house built in the 16th century, and the scenery is, well, breathtaking to say the least. Given the facts, it's no wonder that the island's main industry is tourism, with a little sheep farming thrown in for good measure. Number 2. Just Room Enough Island. You know that saying, it's funny 'cause it's true? Well, it's fully applicable when it comes to this island, or should we say islet. If you just have enough room to place a house on an island, you might as well call that island just room enough. On it, there is a house, some shrubs, a small beach, and 1 tree, and that's about it. The island story is this. A family bought it back in the 1950s with an idea of building a getaway of peace and quiet. You might say that the family overstretched the concept a little bit, but the holiday getaway got made. Unfortunately, tourists and onlookers started flocking in, so the peace and quiet bit got scrapped. It's located in the St. Lawrence River, and it's quite an attraction. When you look at it from afar, it sometimes looks like the house is floating. Some of you might say that this one is cheating, because it is just that, a house on water, not a real island. But you are mistaken. In order for something to be considered an island, it has to have at least 1 tree on it. Check. It must be above water level throughout the year. Check. And it must exceed 1 square foot. Check. So, with all 3 conditions met, Just Room Enough Island has enough to be called a full-fledged island. Number 1. Dunbar Rock Villa. Wait a minute. Is it an island or a rock or a floating villa? Well, it's a little bit of all 3 actually. You can call it a rock island villa, because that's what it is, and it's beautiful. The only way to arrive at Dunbar Villa is by boat or helicopter, but once you're there, you'll be blown away by the beauty of the place. Technically speaking, this is not an inhabited island because there are no permanent resident dwellers there. However, it is packed all year round because think about it. Who wouldn't want to enjoy this gorgeous scenery? Dunbar Villa is located in the Caribbean, some 44 miles off the north of Honduras, and it has its own swimming pools, balcony, and sunbathing areas for the guests to enjoy themselves. There's even a private beach. Needless to say, it's pretty expensive, but it's definitely worth it. Dunbar Rock, here we come. Or at least we'd like to. What was your favorite small island? Let us know in the comments below and take care.